Democracy can be defined as freedom and equality for all people. It gives people the opportunity to make decisions for themselves in all aspects of life, socially, economically, and within the government. The first American settlers experienced democracy when they came to this country and received religious freedom. They were given the freedom to make their own social choices. However, many people argue that the Pilgrims were hypocritical. They came to America to seek religious freedom and the ability to choose their own way of life. However, they tried to force their beliefs on the Native Americans and persecuted them throughout history. The Revolutionary War was fought for the settlers to obtain the freedom they wanted and to be recognized as a democracy that is removed from the British Empire. The Declaration of Independence was our note to the British King that we were a free country, where people could be represented within the government and would no longer have to follow under a dictator or a tyrant. We had a voice within our government. The Bill of Rights can be considered our first declaration of rights as citizens to make choices for ourselves and to protect the freedoms we have as a people. It is considered by many to be one of the most important documents in human history. The theme of persecution and hypocrisy is evident throughout history. Despite people's search for democratic freedom, people continue to persecute others and strip them of the freedoms they have as human beings. Despite our receivings of freedom, the theme of persecution and hypocrisy continued to be evident throughout history. Despite people's search for democratic freedom, people continue to persecute others and strip them of the freedoms they have as human beings. The Civil War can be considered the transition in society when people started to realize that the persecution of blacks was immoral. However, people in the South still believed that blacks were less than human and did not deserve the democratic freedoms that we have as a people. The war was fought to win blacks the rights they deserved as human beings. They deserved all the same economic, social, and governmental freedoms that we have as citizens. The Civil War divided us as a country. President Abraham Lincoln feared that this solitary idea of blacks being undeserving of rights would disrupt the government that we had already solidified. Many people argue that the blacks did not deserve rights because their ancestors were from Africa and not from the US. However, the Southerners forgot that they too did not originate in this country, but settled here from England. Their ancestors fought for their freedom, so why were they so quick to deny blacks the rights they deserved? After the Civil War, it was evident that despite the rights and civil liberties given to the blacks, none of it really counted for anything, and they were still being persecuted. However, during the Civil Rights Movement, the African Americans began to fight back and demand that they receive the rights and freedoms that they deserved as American people. The blacks wanted to be able to vote without feeling threatened. They wanted to be treated equal and no longer accept the second-rate amenities being given to them. Martin Luther King spoke to the country of the injustices his people had endured, and how they would no longer stay quiet. They wanted to be represented within the country and experience democracy like everyone else. America was supposed to be a country of democracy, but how could this be true if they were denying people their rights and not letting them have the social and economic freedoms that they rightfully acquired as American citizens, all because of the color of their skin? After a long period of time, it was evident that race was no longer becoming an issue. We were judging people by their character and not by the color of their skin. People might still have harbored that secret hatred for blacks, but they now realized it was no longer socially acceptable to voice your feelings on it. We now saw that democracy no longer pertained solely to government issues, but to life issues. Democracy meant having a right to a voice in your country, to be able to speak your mind, to have the same economic and social freedoms as others. However, on September 11, 2001, our safety as a country was jeopardized, and many people believed democracy would never be the same. Many people felt that their rights as citizens were being violated due to the safety precautions being taken by the government. Many argue that the war on terror was unjust. One man's horrific crime put the entire country on edge. People who looked Middle Eastern would be stopped in airports or given dirty looks on subways and trains. People felt that our rights were being violated, whereas other people felt that it was the right thing to do in order to protect our country. Democracy had come so far and now had taken so many steps backwards. We were allowing old ideas and customs to guide us despite our new and innovative technology to keep us safe. After that short period of our country being on high alert, we as a people have come very far throughout history in regards to the definition of democracy. Democracy now means that everyone is represented in government. We as a people have a voice to speak out against injustice. We are allowed the same economic freedoms as others and are free to make our own social decisions. Although America has come so far in its lessons of democracy and what it really means, people are still denied their rights to this day. Gays are not allowed to marry in certain states and are often looked down upon. Gays have spoken out on their anger towards being slighted when it comes to topics like adoption. Many have complained that it takes significantly longer for them to adopt a child than it would a heterosexual couple, due to the fact that mothers have reservations about giving their child to a gay couple. People are denied health insurance due to pre-existing health conditions or charged outrageous amounts because they are considered a liability. It is unfair that a 70-year-old woman with a heart condition should have to pay a significant amount for her health insurance just because she has a disease she did not ask for. This type of discrimination is an injustice. We can control these types of discrimination with democracy, by voting for the politician that we feel is against this type of discrimination that health insurance companies use in order to make money. People complain that we have too many foreigners immigrating to the U.S. and taking our jobs, but we are quick to forget why the Pilgrims came to this country. People come to our country to escape injustice, to seek the freedoms that we advertise constantly. We need to stop thinking of democracy as solely something that pertains to the government. It needs to be seen as our right to freedom, to equality, to speak out against persecution, and our right to a voice within our country.